12th of August 2023. In this news flash, I'm going to talk about something that, well, all I can say is a lot of underwear changes is going to be needed, and there should be a lot of anger among the people. There was a lot of noises and stories made about state capture, and all sorts of shit was done to the population in the name of working against the outcome of some of these capturing processes and all that type of political shit. But you have to understand one thing: the whole political sector, yes, they're a fucking sector, they're a tribe on their own, these politicians. They don't give a shit about you or me. They're only there for the salaries, the perks, and the advantage and the power. Now, if this was a country where the IQ average was above 70, not below as it is, we might have had a chance on building back a prosperous South Africa. But unfortunately, the bulk is in that low IQ bracket, and they do not even fucking understand what the hell is being done to them. They don't see what is being done to them. And there is the big problem. And I say again, all politicians is suspect. Everyone. There's not a single one of them that is not suspect. I saw a lot of information, got a lot of information earlier this morning of that XXX cabal that is controlling the EFF and the ANC. It is absolutely nauseating. But what can we do? Stupid people is in charge. And they are in charge because they've been placed there in charge. And they were selected for their stupidity, not for their brilliance, for their stupidity. But let me get to the point. The state capture stories was all over the news, and there's a lot of stories about how many millions and trillions and billions and fuck knows what was stolen and was involved. And what the hell is happening? Has 1 rand been recovered? No. Now listen to what this guy says. It's an attorney, Christopher Bean. Trillions of state capture loot can be recovered with civil freezing orders if the state allowed it. Take note, if the state allowed it. Attorney Christopher Bean, who specializes in the recovery of stolen monies and assets, says, "We want to have it frozen in terms of a local freezing order which apply in those different countries. And then we want to bring the money back. It's that simple. However," says Bean, "there are people who don't want us to do that because it will expose who are the beneficiaries of that money. And without a mandate, either from National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, or state-owned enterprise, SOE, Bean can't go after the state capture loot stashed across the world." He is now challenging the CEOs of public enterprises to have the cajonis, balls in other words, to stand up and have a conversation with us and see if we can help recover the money that belongs to the country so that we can all benefit. And there is the shit, all benefit. No such fucking idea ever must be brought to the desk. How the hell can the people expect to benefit? This is money for the selected cabal, not for all the people. It's the people's money, but now it's in the hands of the cabal. Now I'll put the link to the article in the description of the video so that you can read the article yourself. Highlights from the interview. The trillions looted from South Africa during state capture can be recovered anywhere in the world with civil freezing orders. That is according to the attorney Christopher Bean, who specializes in the recovery of stolen money and monies and assets. Civil attachment orders, aka freezing orders, Mariva injunctions and Magnitsky attachment orders are currently being used very successfully to attach millions of US dollars in oligarch funds all over the world. Take note, it can be done, but we need either the NPA or a SOE CEO to give the attorneys the mandate to do it. You must ask yourself, why the fuck are they not giving those mandates? Why not? Why not? We don't really care where the Guptas are. I have no interest, but I'm very interested in where the money is, and we can find that out. However, Bean says, there are people who don't want us to do that because it will expose who are the beneficiaries of that money. And once that has been shown, even though it's a civil case, that information can be transferred over to a criminal side and suddenly they're going to be held up for theft. And here comes the kicker. Asked why South African authorities or the National Prosecuting Authority had not done that themselves, Bean says, that's the $1 million question. I think it's embarrassment. They don't understand how attachment orders work overseas. They are not familiar with it, and they don't want to let people know that they do that. That's the best answer. So, what have we got here? Stupid people in charge. But without a mandate, either from the NPO or SOE, Bean can't go after the state capture loot. There are mandates that are given to certain people like the CEO, who would be able to give a confidential mandate to recover funds to us. However, we need to find that person. We need somebody who is extremely, I won't use rude words, who is extremely brave to be able to stand up and say, this money's been stolen, I'm going to bring it back. As we get close to the election, I think that might well stand them in good stead. But that, we're so used to this in South Africa, the country is run by a criminal gang, controlled by a XXX cartel that has got no mercy and no conscience. Keep that in mind. I'm basically putting a challenge down to the CEOs. Please have the Cajonis to stand up and have conversation with us and see if we can help recover the money that belongs to this country so that we can all benefit. Asked how much money he believes has been stolen, Bean says, the estimate about 2 trillion rands, 2 to 3 trillion rands, but let's just say 2 trillion rands, which is actually a lot of money. And people say, well, the money's all spent, but if you just do some simple mathematics and you'll only get 10% of 2 trillion rands, you've actually got 200 billion instead, which is also a fantastic amount of money that we need back here. So they can't spend it all. It's very difficult when you've got that kind of money to spend it without getting noticed. Bean points out that civil remedies as opposed to criminal remedies have a very light burden of proof. If you owe me money and I claim from you on a civil basis, the evidence that I have to prove has to show that you owed me money on a balance of probabilities. However, if I brought the same case against you for the same amount of money and brought a criminal case against you, the burden of proof would be, I would have to show that the money belongs to me beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a huge difference. Once you've got the freezing order, that's when the fun begins, because then you have to notify the holder of the bank account that their account has been frozen. You don't notify them, the sheriff does, and they're informed that their money is frozen, and they know now. They, the debtor, the person who took the money, has the burden of having to prove that the money actually belongs to him or her, or them, or the company, or whatever it is. Now, you must think about what the fuck is going on here. these guys can recover that state capture money that everybody was talking about. But, the government institution that needs to give them the mandate don't want to give them a mandate. You must ask yourself, why not? How is that possible? Why is the NPA not doing the thing? Answer that question for yourself. Look at that amount. It's enormous. But the problem is, if they start grabbing those funds, a lot of this gangster cabal will be exposed and they will have nowhere to hide. And that is the reality. So you must ask yourself, why is the NPA protecting them? And the second thing is, why is it that there's not a single SOE CEO with the balls to give them the mandate and say, get my money back? Why? Well, I hope your Saturday has been fucked up properly now. Think about it. This is how deep in the shit we really are. Please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.